Right then, what we want to do now is cut out our gun ports. Now before we do any of that, we want to get a template. Now you can use pretty much anything you want, but you want something kind of hard. It says in the instructions there's a bit of thin brass plate, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be using a bit of scrap plastic just here. I'm just going to get out some scissors. This is just nice sort of plastic we've got here. You could use styrene plastic sheets if you want. I'm just quickly cutting out a nice little chunk of that there. It's nice and clear as well. And what we want to do now is we want to start making some straight lines. So let's bring you in. First off, getting our flat ruler, right, and I'm using a marker pen. I'm just going to draw my first line like so. Then what we want to do is actually just cut this straight across, right, as straight and as careful as we can. Maybe a little bit more of a trim there. It seems to have gone slightly at a bit of an angle. There we go. Right, so now we know that we've got this edge nice and straight. We then could come along with a T-square, right, put that right up, right, so we've got our nice flat edge we've just cut there, butted right up, and we can simply come in with our marker pen and draw another straight line just there. We can cut this one out as straight and as nice as you can get it. Don't worry if you've got to maybe do a bit of sanding or a light bit of trimming, just get it as nice and as straight as you possibly can. Right, then what we want to do, we want to get a measurement now, because what we've got here is we've made basically a really nice perfect 90-degree angle there. So what we're going to do is going from the point of our 90-degree angle, right, we basically want to, let's get it into centimeters, because it says in the instructions 12 centimeters long. Right, so we're going to mark that 12 centimeters, sorry, 12 millimeters, right, and we want to mark that both sides as well. Right, so I'm getting that on the 12 mil and I'm marking that there. So we're taking our piece here, we're getting our flat edge that we've cut, we're bringing our T-square, butting that right up. Let's get you in a little bit closer. We're going to butt it right up, but then we're going to stop where we've made our 12 mil mark. We're going to stop it right there. We're going to get our marker pen, right, and we're going to draw another straight 90-degree angle line along there, and we can do the same this side. Flat edge, bring it up to the mark, right, and then we can bring that up, and as you can see, and as you can see, we've now hopefully got this all at 90-degree angles, right. Then what you also want to do, and I'll cut that off camera, that final bit, cut it nicely. Then what we want to do, we want to go from one corner to another corner, right, and we basically want to be drawing a little cross inside, and what this will do is give us our dead center, right. And then what you want to do in the dead center there, well, obviously I'm going to cut this bit out, right. You want to drill a hole dead center, and that should give us our template, our jig, so to speak, for all our gun ports. Right, next thing, we want to make another jig. Now this is really easy. Scrap bit of our planking that we've been using, and we just simply using our planking iron, we make two bends in it just like this. Right, so we end up with this shape. Right, nice, quick and easy. Then what we want to do is to the forward section, forward of each and every one of these ribs, we want to put this up to the ribs, right, and then make sure that the bit that touches our planks, right, is all nice and flat, right. We come in with our pencil, right, and we draw a line like so, and that's just going to indicate, you know, where our ribs are. Let's just do another one for you. Now the instructions, they do say to go off and do both sides, right, by doing this. However, I've found that you don't need to do the one that comes aft of our ribs. You only need to do the one that's forward of each rib, really, because that's all you need. Where you have at the front here, which I've already kind of started working on this, so it is a little bit awkward, but here at the front, hopefully as you can see, what we've got is our final one. Our most forward gun port here is just here, and then instead of doing our sort of our gun ports right up against our lines we've drawn, right, which is our lines forward of each rib, on this last one here we do our gun port in the center. Okay, so let's just show you our templates now and bringing them to showing you how these work. Sorry, it is so hard to get this thing on camera. Right then, so taking say this line that we've got here, what we're going to do, we're going to bring in our template, okay, and what we're going to do is, it's nice and easy. We've got our line. So we'll bring you in a little bit more. Right, we've got our line just here, which is showing where our rib is, the forward part of our rib. We want to butt that up against that line, right, and then also we've got our bottom, our first plank, our bottom plank. You want to line that up with the bottom plank, okay, the top part of the bottom plank, this line just there. Right, so we've already got this nice 90-degree angle going on, right, so then we can pinch with our finger, right, on that 90-degree angle there, and then we can draw in our line, right, with our jig, right, and then before you remove your hand, right, where we've got our center bit just there, right, we want to just give it a little punch. Okay, that was just a needle on a normal hand drill, right, and what we've basically done there, oh, by the way, I drilled a little hole in the middle, and it was something like a 0.6 mil drill bit. So what we've got now is we've got our gun port all nicely drawn out with a nice little hole here as a sort of like a nice hole punch. Then what we want to do, let's just bring you out, right, what we want to do then is we want to come in with this tool that came with the kit with a 2 mil drill bit on the top, and just finding where we made our little punch there with our little needle. You want to just slowly start pushing this in and out. Right, as you can see, we're getting a nice hole started, right, and then we want to go all the way through this plank, right, but we don't want to stop there. Now I've gone all the way through there. Now what we want to do is we want to try and keep our drill bit here nice and level and straight as we possibly can, and go all the way through, right, until we basically reach our sort of I forgot what they were now, like bulkhead things, or beams or something that's at the back, if you remember, that we've got just there, and we want to drill through there. And the reason for this is because later on in the build, there we go, just gone through it, later on the build we're going to be gluing our cannons into that little hole that we've just drilled there. But it's best to do it now, because you know you're going to get it center, because we know this hole here is center. So when we drill all the way through, we know that's going to be sort of center with our hole there. It's a lot easier than cutting it out and trying to do the hole later. Next thing, what you want to do is we want to start cutting these out, but I'm just going to draw all these on down there. Now it does show instructions that you can sort of, you know, draw some of this in, like nice little crosses and stuff, if you so wish. I'm not going to really bother with that, to be honest, but that's what you want to do all the way along basically. So now we come to the part where we've got to cut these out, which is very time consuming, and there's not really an easy way around it. But basically the instructions want you to actually sort of start by cutting from corner to corner with a blade, and they do recommend, and I recommend as well, that you you know, constantly keep changing your blades. Right now, after doing a cross, it wants you to do a square, but a square within our gun port square. Okay, trying to be careful not to actually, you know, go over our original gun port hole jig marks that we just put down, right? Because we don't want to be marking the wood, right? And basically we just keep on cutting at this, right, until we cut basically into it, and we can start cutting it out. And it is a process, right? It really isn't, you know, easy, to be honest with you. And with the amount you got to do, yeah, it is going to take you a fair bit of time, as you can see. And basically you just keep doing that until you've cut through enough, and then you just sand the edges down, probably with something like a file or a skinny stick. Option 2, the one that I quite like, is using my Rotorcraft sort of drill thing going on here. What we could also do is come in with this. Now the bit that I've got on the end here is it came with like the set, to be honest, and it's sort of like a metal foil, but it's nicely at a nice point, so we can really sort of get some detail work done. So just turn this on, which is going to be a bit loud. I'm just going to go off and start drilling holes. Right, basically just like that. Let's bring you in a bit closer so you can see that. Basically I'm going all the way around drilling holes. And as you go along, you want to sort of wipe away the dust so you can just see that you're staying within your box. We don't want to be going outside this box that we've drawn just here. So as you can see, I've just gone around drilling basically lots of little holes. I mean, you could use a drill bit if you want, but it just saves me changing this drill piece here, because it's got sort of like it's like a sander all the way around. What we can do is this. There we go. I should have probably put that on tighter, but it still got there in the end. Right, and as you can see, we've literally, with no real trouble, basically got a basic square shape going on there. Then what I'd recommend is you can do a bit of two things. We can, you know, come in with maybe our blade and start sort of getting maybe the bigger areas that we haven't quite, you know, got close to our lines. And then we can come in with a skinny stick, but I like coming in with a skinny stick and a foil. The metal foil basically makes our skinny stick, because I mean our skinny stick does bend quite a bit, which is good for some things, but for this task we want it to be, you know, nice and flat, and the best way to do that is using the foil and the skinny stick. You know, we can keep the skinny stick nice and straight and strong, and we can just come in here and just nicely sand this now to a nice straight edge going right up to our lines, and getting them, you know, basically like this one here that we have just here. You know, get it as nice and straight as you possibly can, and that's it really. I mean, now we're in for this long haul of actually getting all these done. It isn't easy, but I do feel, you know, using our rotorcraft tool, that we can, you know, as you can see, get that you know, sanded out quite quickly. The only thing is with that, you know, you've got to be careful, because you can accidentally sort of sand it past our jig lines, and then, you know, it kind of makes a bit of a mess. But in saying that, you know, we are going to be sanding and filling and painting on top of this, so it might not hurt too much. But yeah, I'm going to crack on with this now. Right, after taking absolutely ages to kind of, you know, cut all our gun points out, you might have found that here and there you've sort of slightly sort of broken our planks here, right? All you need to do there, I mean, you don't have to worry, because we've got to put something inside there which will support how that's sort of like bending in. But as just a quick strengthener, you know, come back to our good old mixture of water and our wood glue, and we just literally just paint that on, let the capillary action suck into where that's just slightly broken, and there you go. That should, you know, hopefully give it a bit more strength, but we shouldn't really have to worry too much about that. I'll finish that off camera. Right then, what we need to do now is we need to position this now to the rear. Right, because what we want to do now is we want to sort of tidy up this area here. Hold on, let's try and position this. Just here, we want to tidy up this area here. You know, we've got to sort of, like it says in the instructions, to cut it with a blade, which yes, we want to do, but in all honesty, really, you know, we may as well sort of cut a lot of this out first, right? Just to get most of it sort of out the way. Ow, that hurt. Ow, there we go. And then, you know, we simply want to come along again. You know, keeping a fresh blade is going to be always good with this, and you just want to basically sort of just cut this, right, and trim this until, without trying to cut yourself. Sorry, this is in a really awkward position for me to cut this, so I'll finish it off camera. But basically you want to end up cutting it so it's all like this side, right? And once you've cut it, you know, coming in simply with a sanding stick, and you just sort of nicely get that sanded away, right, so it's all feeling and looking really, really good. And you want to do you know, you want to sort of sand it up to the edge as well along here, along our galley supports. But then what you also want to do, if I can just get this on camera, if I can, no I can't, I'll come back when I can. Right, got this on camera now. What you want to do here is, with these planks here, you just want to saw this now down until it reaches our galley supports. Right, just using a micro saw. Right, and you may want to start trimming this a bit. Right, you may as well trim the first bit. Right, but when we sort of get closer to our galley supports, right, it's really easy to trim when you go with the grain of the wood. As you can see, really easy. But then you know, when we sort of get to our galley supports just here, we want to give this a good sanding until basically it reaches our galley supports. Right, nice and easy. Right, and you want it to end up looking like this side. Crikey, this is a camera challenge, this is. Right, looking like this side, so it's all nice and flush and you can feel it all going along these galley supports here. Right, and just here we want that to be flush with, I do believe it's piece 30. Okay, so get that all nice and flush, and you know, that should be all good for now.